Good morning there. What I'm going to talk about today is transfer orders, and I've done a couple videos on transfer orders already, one starting in inventory, one starting in order management. And so this one today, we're going to walk through how to create a transfer order starting from procurement or specifically a purchase requisition. Now, a lot of the screens you're going to see today are Redwood screens. This is a 25B environment, so Redwood is more and more being rolled out across the product. And I'll also be pausing and restarting the recording as we go along so that we don't sit and wait for all the background processes to run on camera. So having said that, I've logged in as Ava Clark, and she's going to put in a purchase requisition to buy an inventory item or actually transfer an inventory item from Manchester, UK over to Atlanta. So we'll go into requisitions, and her preferences are set here to Atlanta, and it's going to be coming into our inventory stores sub-inventory location. Update, and we start by creating enter requisition line. So the setup for this, I've done another video on supply chain financial orchestration and specifically profit and inventory setup. That links to a couple PowerPoints that will show you all the different setup steps to make transfer orders in general work. So we're going to search for our item. Here's our item that we're going to buy. And then down here, we select our source. So in this case, we're not going to buy it from a supplier. We're actually bringing it in from an inventory location. Part of the setup process is you have to set up, sourcing rules and assignment sets and all those kinds of fun things in global order promising. And so the only supplier that I can get this from is Manchester. I should say supplier, but inventory location is Manchester in the UK. And we're actually going to order 5 of these just to kind of keep it unique, and then create and continue. This will go through a couple more screens. Requisition has been created, it says down here at the bottom. Here's our requisition, update that. I'm really not adding anything to these other screens. And then here is a review of it, 5 units at this price, before we actually submit that. Now, in my system, this requisition is going to go through, it's been submitted. Here it is over here on the left. It's going to go through an approval process. And so what I'll do is I will pause this and let it, churn through that approval process. And I'll be right back as soon as that is ready to go. Okay, so this requisition has been approved. And so that means your orchestration is started to be able to ship that out of the UK and receive it over here in Atlanta. So because this is from purchase requisition, it will actually create a transfer order with a shipping transaction is the way I've set it up. I've set it up as in transit, which means there'll be a shipping transaction out of UK, a receiving transaction in Atlanta. So what we'll do is we'll pop over to Richard Smith, who is the inventory manager in Manchester. We'll go into inventory management, and then we'll go ahead and select this line for outbound shipping. So up here, again, this is a Redwood screen. Notice it's different than what you're used to. Up here, we can switch the different organizations within the UK business unit. So we're going to go to outbound shipments. And got to monkey with this just a little bit to get the date up here. Oh, there we go. Okay. So here's our order for the 5 units that was put in today. And we're going to go ahead and select that. And then the generate shipment button will pop up. So we're going to generate shipment. Process is very similar to the old user interface. You can see my shipment has been created. So I will click that hyperlink and go ahead and confirm this. And you can do this through pick waves and all the other kind of things as well. I just choose to do it this easy way for demonstration purposes. We'll go ahead and ship confirm. Okay, so it tells me the shipment has been confirmed, it's closed, and it's being shipped to Atlanta. So we should be good to go here. So the next step is I'll actually come over to my warehouse manager in the US. So we're going to assume that this receipt as it's transited the ocean, it showed up in Atlanta. We're going to go into inventory management. Hopefully. Redwood screens aren't perfect yet. So there we go. There's Atlanta. And so this is now going to be an inbound shipment. Oops, inbound shipment. So it's just like a purchase receipt, but it's a transfer order receipt. So inbound shipments. We'll try that again. It's actually expected, not inbound shipments, but expected receipts, which is the one below it. My bad. There we go. Expected shipment lines into Atlanta. And wondering if this is not orchestrated through yet. Nope, it hasn't orchestrated through yet. So we'll pause this until that orchestration completes. Okay, so it's orchestrated, and this is a wide open, all the expected receipts. And down here at the bottom, we can see, whoops, right here. We can see our 5 units coming in. We're going to go ahead and receive this. We'll click on it, and then the receive button pops up. I don't want any updates. It's already being brought into sub-inventory stores. It shows it's coming from 100, which is Manchester. And so we'll go ahead and create that receipt. And this is just a prettier version of the standard user interface that you would see for purchase order RMAs and transfer order receipts. So it's thinking about it here. So at this point, our supply chain side of this process is completed. And so once this completes out, then what we'll do is we'll go take a look at supply chain financial orchestration. And you get there through, usually it's in supply chain execution. What we're going is this here. So I'm now over as my cost accountant here. And supply chain execution, so we have cost accounting, and then we have financial orchestration. We're going to go take a look at what's in process, transfer orders in process. And we do that by going to tasks, monitor financial orchestration execution. Then I'll search for in process for the item number that we're dealing with here. In progress, AS 86004. And so we have some in process here. The one we're dealing with is this 100, 200 here. If we click on this view tasks little icon, we can see the steps that it's gone through. And so again, this will lay out the different steps that we have to go through in a transfer. So we've got our trade in transit issue, the receipt, the accrual. And so now what it's waiting on is the intercompany receivable and then the intercompany payable. And you see this little clock here that tells you that that's what it's waiting on. And the blue box has not started, the greens are completed. So from here, we're going to go into the UK accounts receivable and create the invoice. So just like normal, we go into billing. And then what I like to do is I come down into this little icon here called import exceptions, click the little arrow. And what that does is it brings up this import transaction button for me. So this kicks off the import auto invoice scheduled process. And here it's going to be different. We want to go to Aura, this one here, Aura Supply Chain Financial Orchestration, because that's where this is coming from. So we'll click on that, we'll submit this, and then we'll come over here under Manage Transactions, and we'll wait for this invoice to process. And so while we wait, I will pause the recording until that shows up. Okay, okay, so the import auto invoice is completed. And what you'll notice is I have an invoice here, 19084, and we'll click on that, take a look at it. Now, this is probably going to have more than just the one order that we've done. There were other orders that were in process waiting to be collected or billed, I should say. And so here's the one we just did for the 5 units. These were sitting in progress waiting to be billed. So we've created the AR invoice, and we can come over here and we can post that to the ledger. And then while that's posting, what we'll do is we'll now need to do the accounts payable side of the transaction. And we do that from the sending company. Again, it's the UK. So what happens here is the UK pushes an invoice over to the US. We do that going into accounts payable invoices. And we'll go over here to tasks to this import invoices. Hopefully. There we go, import invoices. So what we're going to do is it's for the US 1 business unit primary ledger. Now, the source of this is, again, supply chain financial orchestration flow. And then we'll submit this. And that kind of sticks there. So, welcome to new. Then we're going to go to manage invoices where we can see this once it's completed. And we're going to search on today. And so this is not the one we're waiting for. So while that process is, what I want to do is show you how the view here in financial orchestration looks. So we're going to click this off. We're going to refresh these. And what's happened here is that I had these in progress, but since we've done the AR side and the AP side, they're no longer in process. They're now considered complete. So we'll search on complete. And will be the highest number, which is this one. And so now you can see that all of the steps are completed. It also lets us know what the intercompany AR invoice number is and the intercompany AP invoice number is. So it gives us some guidance as to what numbers we should look for. So going back over to our AP guy, James Bird over here, we should see the invoice here. So we'll research on today. Here we go. 19084 is what we just saw on the other side. And again, clicking on this. Go to lines. And you can see here, like we saw in AR, we had the 2 other transfer orders, then we have the one that we just did. So again, what we've seen here is the supply chain side where we created a purchase requisition, we submitted it, it was approved, and then that created a shipping transaction out of the UK. It was received into Atlanta, so the supply chain side is fine. The items were requested and shipped. And then on the financial side, we've also seen the automation of the intercompany AR and AP. And there's kind of a final thing here. Let's go take a look real quick at cost accounting in Atlanta. So we'll go back into Joanne here. And so again, you're going to see some new, I don't want to go to this one. I want to go to the new screens. So this is a new Redwood cost accounting screen. Some names have been changed. Like instead of create cost accounting distributions. They call it run cost accounting control. Instead of review cost accounting distributions, they call it cost transaction distributions. So that's where we're going to go. Now, the search screen is very different. They had this, our development team had some very strict rules as to how long it would, or response time has to be less than 500 milliseconds. To do that, they had to create a focused search. So I'm going to go through those steps. We want fully costed. Enter the cost org is going to be U.S. operations. The cost book is going to be financial. And the period is going to be June. And now it will resolve. And then I'm going to sort this newest to oldest. It might take me a couple times. There we go. So we can see the newest stuff here on top. And you'll see these transfer orders, sales orders, etc. And we can go and take a look at view transaction details, view distributions, any errors if there are any. So this is the same information that's on the other screens. So here's my debits and credits. And you'll notice here that, whoops, we have the profit and inventory. This was set up as there should be, anyway, they changed the screens on me, is a 10% cost plus 10. So here's my cost, here's my 10. And so now the receiving facility will carry that standard cost from the UK plus the profit to the UK. So I hope this was helpful. Down below, I have links to the PowerPoint for this. I also have links to other videos on running this flow from inventory management, also from order management. And there's also a link to the video on how to do the setup, the financial orchestration setup, as well as the profit and inventory setup. Hope this was helpful.